Okay, let's start. So this is EEE 121, section THYZ2. So make sure you are in the correct class. So EEE 121, also known as data structures and algorithms for EEE. So before everything else, I will introduce myself. I am Herlan Benitez. So you can usually people call me Sir Herlan. And yung email ko is herlan.benitez@gpt.edu.ph. And hopefully, nare-receive niyo yung mga emails ko so far. And naka-join na kayo sa ating Discord server. So, currently, ako ay nasa bahay, work from home. Pero usually, may kita nyo ako sa EEE sa Microlab. And then my regular consultation hours are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Although you can contact me naman at almost any other time, and I will reply as soon as I can. So some preliminaries for EEE 121. So medyo introduction about the course and yung ating syllabus. So first, what is EEE 121 about? So from its title, it's called Data Structures and Algorithms in EEE. So EEE 121 is about solving our common computational problems. Kasi most of the time, problems na encounter natin that would involve programming, usually na-solve na yan before. If not, it is similar to it's similar to something that has already been solved. So if familiar tayo doon sa mga commonly used na algorithms, tsaka yung commonly implemented na algorithms, madali natin siyang magagamit to our advantage. So ang coverage ng 121 is tatlo. Yung major coverage niya is first is yung algorithmic paradigms or yung way of approaching a particular problem. Although medyo tinone down namin yung discussion dito to fit our schedule since online na. Although pag sa face-to-face kasi is kino-cover talaga lahat. In an online setting kasi medyo mahirap silang i-explain. Anyway, so algorithmic paradigms yun yung ways to approach a particular problem. Some examples of this are yung tinatawag nating complete search, wherein lahat ng possible solutions tinatry natin, and kung merong mag-work, edi yun yung tamang solution. So para medyo brute force siya kasi tinatry natin lahat ng possibilities. Another approach is what we call yung divide and conquer, wherein we break down our problem to several smaller problems na pag na-solve natin, mas madaling i-solve yung bigger problem in the end. So yun yung mga algorithmic paradigms examples natin. Next is yung tinatawag natin data structures. So a data structure, from the name, as the name suggests, this is how we organize or structure our data. So yung data natin, pwede natin silang pagtabi-tabihin, pwede natin silang bigyan ng different levels, pwede natin silang bigyan ng connections. So paano natin ino-organize yung data natin? That is what is referred to as data structures. And then lastly is analysis of algorithms. So there will be multiple solutions to the same problem. Pero paano natin masasabi kung aling solution yung best among them? So doon pumapasok yung analysis of algorithms. So in a way, itong first is yung ating approach doon sa problem. And ditong data structures is yung paano natin i-organize yung data natin. And then yung last part is to so yun, gumamit tayo ng ibang data structures, gumamit tayo ng known algorithmic paradigms. Is my solution better than? So, gumanda ba yung solution ko nung tinry ko to or hindi? So, doon pumapasok yung analysis of algorithms. So, what do we expect from EEE, anong i-expect natin sa EEE 121? Well, kung galing kayong EEE 111, which is yung introductory na programming course, for sure, mas challenging siya. And wala na tayong hand-holding dun sa programming language component. Since sa EEE 111, ang focus talaga is matuto kayo sa syntax ng Python. For EEE 121, assumed na naiintindihan nyo na yung Python syntax. So makakapag-focus tayo more on dun sa paano nag-work yung program itself. So, ayun. Of course, hindi naman namin na-expect na alam niyo na lahat ng tungkol sa Python. So there will still be instances na baka merong mga parts ng code na hindi clear sa inyo. Pero more than that, ang focus natin sa 121 is paano nag-work yung program as a whole, hindi yung individual na steps. So there will be parts sa EEE 121 medyo magiging theoretical lang. Gagamit lang ng pseudocode, gagamit lang ng flowcharts or diagrams, and hindi code talaga. Pero ma-associate nyo na dapat yun doon sa lines of code na kailangan para ma-achieve yung mga yun. So yan, let's get a bit more detailed dun sa ating syllabus. The syllabus is available sa UVLE, dito sa course administration, course guide over here, or course syllabus. And nakikita nyo naman doon yung mga, basically kung ano lang din yung sinabi ko, pero mas detailed and much more words, basically. And dito rin, makikita nyo, ang main way namin to communicate with you is through UVLE. So free, naka-join na lahat. And then we also have HackerRank for our coding exercises. So ito yung platform for coding exercises. I hope everyone is familiar with it. And then Zoom, ito yung ginagamit natin ngayon, which is yung for synchronous sessions na hindi naman required. Then next is our schedule of activities. Makikita nyo dito. So last week, week 0 is yung release ng course guide. So albeit medyo na-delay, but last week, na-release naman namin. And then week 1 is this week from Feb 14 to 18, which is yun nga, on Python syntax lang naman, and a special, parang special mention or focus on classes and objects kasi magiging malaking part sila ng mga discussion later on. So after natin dun sa Python syntax is mag-start tayo with analyzing yung algorithms, yung tinatawag nating time and space complexity and yung big O notation. So dito magko-compare tayo ng algorithms that probably solve the same things pero at different efficiencies. Then in following week is yung algorithm analysis natin, idadalhin natin siya to recursion. So since recursion is a function defined using itself, medyo mas may extra steps sa pag-analyze sa kanya and i-explore yun on week 3. And then a special case of recursion or yung ating first programming paradigm na i-explore, yung divide and conquer na programming paradigm. And paano siya, ayun, mga sample algorithms and yung tinatawag na master theorem pagdating sa time and space complexity ng the divide and conquer algorithms. Next, after that, we go to linear data structures. So those are your arrays, lists, stacks, queues, decks. Actually, hash table, hindi siya linear talaga, pero sinasama siya dyan kasi mabilis na yung discussion dito. Medyo madali lang siya. So, humihirap na banda dito. So, week 6, yung non-linear data structures. So, those are trees, heaps, sets, maps, and priority queues. Now, actually, may isa pang non-linear data structure na hindi kasama dito, which is yung graphs, na meron tayong dalawang weeks na assigned sa kanya, which is after the length and break, and then yung union find na data structure, which is sort of related sa graph, pero not complete. Then the course is concluded with another week on algorithm analysis. So yung first part ng algorithm analysis dito is regarding yung kanyang time and space complexity. So how much time an algorithm consumes and how much space yung kailangan niya. So dito sa last week, ang tinitignan dito is yung kanyang correctness. So tama ba yung algorithm natin? Or looking at our algorithm, kailan siya nagkakamali? Or parati ba siyang tama? So dito yung sa algorithm analysis. So dito na siya at the end of the course para meron na tayong mga sample algorithm sa dinaanan, and so para magiging culminating activity siya for the course apart dun sa software project na nandito rin. So yung mga next information dito is sinamarize ko sa slides para medyo mas madali natin ma-discuss. So first is yung course requirements or ano yung mga kailangan yung i-submit. So first off, we have our weekly activities, which is 60% of your total grade. So, ayun, as the name suggests, per week, magre-release kami ng activities. So, yung mga activities na to can be formative assessments na ungraded and hindi nyo talaga kailangang gawin. Although they're there to help you basically warm up doon sa mga activities or provide additional examples para makuha niyo yung technique or para ma-prepare kayo for the graded activities. And then we have quizzes and coding exercises. So per week, hindi naman siya set na isang quiz, isang coding exercise. It can be different mix. Pwedeng puro quiz, pwedeng puro coding exercises. Kasi based ng kung nakita niyo mga topics natin, actually yung sa first half ng course is medyo marami dito is on the theoretical side. Lalo na dito sa week 2 and actually yung first half ng week 3 is actually just a discussion ng mga algorithms at wala naman talaga mapapakode sa inyo. So of course, quizzes yung ma-implement doon. But further on, pagdating sa mga graphs and yung mga algorithms, kayo na yung mag-implement. So, papasok siya sa coding exercises. So, per week, iba-iba yung halo. Just look at or check out na lang yung ating weekly study guides to get to know them. And ayun, generally, we are allowing unlimited tries as long as they are within the deadline. So yung deadline natin, ang typical deadline, for example, na-release yung activities at week, Feb 14, ang magiging deadline niya will be on February 25. So yung Friday the following week. So you have around 2 weeks or 10 working days para magawa siya with unlimited tries. However, yun nga, kahit na pwede kayong mag-try and try until you succeed. Merong mga cases na hindi kami makakapag-provide ng immediate feedback, lalo na when it comes to essay type na questions or minsan din sa mga hacker rank or coding exercises. May mga special things kami chine-check dyan, kamukha ng complexity at saka kung nasundan nyo nga yung restraints or yung constraints ng problem, medyo magkakaroon ng delayed feedback on that. Pero ayun, you can always message us ahead of time if, for example, nag-aalanganin kayo kung okay na ba yung sinubmit ko, sir, pwede nyo naman i-email sa akin. Or actually, dito rin yung SA natin, si Brian, regarding that. Then, ayun, next is we have the problem sets, which actually some problem set na pala, which is 20% of your total grade and covers weeks 1 to 6. So, ang problem set is i-release siya ng week 4, either start or end ng week 4, and yung deadline niya is around week 10. So, you'll have 1, 2, 3 weeks to do it. And yung week 7 natin March 28 to April 1, that's 1 whole week. March 28 to April 1, that's 1 whole week na wala kaming i-release na additional material and solely for making the problem set lang siya. So yung gagawa ng problem set is kaming gumawa rin ng activities from week 1 to week 6. And then yung software project natin is a harder coding exercise, as you can put it. And it will focus on yung latter topics, which is yung graphs at saka yung unifying. And then, ayun, earlier topics will still be useful kahit na hindi siya covered. So, it's good to keep it in mind. So, yung software project specifications, ang target namin is release siya ng week 12. And then, you have until the end of the finals week to submit your attempt. Although, during the whole duration, probably magkakaroon ng milestones dyan, which can be checked at earlier times. So, ayun, kung siguro from your previous programming classes, yung software project nila has been departmental, or for everyone taking EEE 121, isa lang yung software project. For this offering of EEE 121, we decided to have different specifications per instructor para ma-avoid yung mga accidental intellectual dishonesty cases. Kasi if meron kang 300 students with the same specifications or with the same problem, mas mataas yung chances na merong parehong sagot. So kung lilitan namin yung scope, so for example, for each instructor sa mga sections na handled niya, isang software project. So for around 60 students, isang magkakaiba yung mga software projects. Hopefully maka-avoid ng mga issues essentially. So we will do our best naman to keep each software project at the same difficulty level. So yun yung tatlong major components ng ating grade. And for additional grading policies, you need ito. To get a numerical grade, kailangan yung ating raw grade na weekly activities plus problem set plus software project is greater than 60% kasi 60% ang tres. So kailangan greater than tres yung standing mo. In addition, individually, yung mga components, kailangan 50% or higher. So, kailangan at least 30% ka sa weekly activities, at least 10% sa problem set, or at least 10% din sa software project or half known per activities to get a numerical grade. Otherwise, mapupunta ka dito sa incomplete. Then, yun, additionally, kailangan 50% per week activity total din. So for week 1, dapat nasa more than 50%, week 2, more than 50%. So hindi pwedeng yung perfect ka from weeks 1 to 6. So yung 10 to 13 mo, hindi mo nagagawin. So mabibigyan ka ng incomplete in that case. And then you can also get a drop for the course if you did not make any attempts doon sa ating activities, problem set, or software project. Pero basta at least may isa kang submission, you will get an incomplete by default. Unless, yun nga, pwede kang mag-ask to be dropped with a valid reason. And in another case na pwede mabigyan ng drop na ginawa na namin before. Pag meron tayong intellectual dishonesty case, in other words, may nagkopyahan ng code, you can be given a drop for the course kung paulit-ulit or for a major requirement. And then ating submission policies. Ating coding exercises available siya sa HackerRank. So like this one. Although ang final submission natin ng code is still on Oovle. So the final version of the code, tsaka yung hacker rank submission link, kailangan natin i-submit sa uli. So as an example, ito si week 1, yung meron tayong submission bin dun sa exercises niya. And ang kailangan dito is yung URL ng submission at saka yung final code. So saan mo makukuha yung URL? So kung nandito ka sa hacker rank contest natin, opening week 1A, may kita natin dito, may first tab about the problem, and then may second tab about yung submissions. So for example, ito, gumawa ko ng isang submission kanina, 2 days ago. Actually, wala akong binago, pero ito, pag nag-view results ka, ito yung URL na makukuha mo, and ito yung URL na isasubmit mo sa uli. So pag inopen mo yung link na yun, makikita yung mga results per test case, and then yung ating submitted na code dito. So bakit namin ginagawa yon? Kasi usually or sometimes we will have hidden edge cases na hindi magagawa if, for example, hindi mo sinundan yung ibang requirements ng problem. So for example, baka hindi nyo pa maintindihan, for example, we need a program to run this fast. Kailangan matapos in a few seconds. Hindi siya immediately na-check sa hacker rank. So, i-check siya mano-mano by us, by the instructors and the student assistants. So, kahit na makuha mo lahat ng test cases sa hacker rank, hindi pa siya guarantee na perfect yung score na ma-record for you. But, ayun, pwede mo naman, hindi naman siya like, hindi naman namin sasadyain na hindi sasabihin sa inyo if ever meron pa pala kayong hindi nagawa. You can always send us a message kung syempre pag nag-check kami ng code, hindi naman siya isa-isa. We will compile them all para sabay-sabay to be more efficient. Pero if nag-aalinlangan kayo dun sa code nyo, gusto nyo nang medyo feedback, early feedback, you can always send us a direct message. Then ayun, generally, materials will be uploaded at the start of the week and due on Friday the following week. I guess nabanggit ko na ito kanina. Pero wala siya sa syllabus kasi lately lang namin siya na-decide. So, for example, next week, ma-release siya probably at Feb 21. Ang deadline niya would be on March 4. And then deadline extensions are granted on a case-to-case basis. So, if late ka magsasubmit, you should have a reasonable excuse. For example, nagkasakit, may kailangan asikasuhin sa family, may nagkaroon ng konting problems, just let us know para mabigyan kayo ng deadline extension. Ngayon, for those na hindi makapag-provide ng valid extension, ay valid reason, kailangan nyo pa rin masubmit at least 50% for a week. So yun yung magiging deduction basically. So pwede kayong mag-submit late pero hanggang 50% lang ng total for a week ang mabibigay sa inyo. So ayun. So regardless yon of how late or kung 1 week late, 2 weeks late, or week 2 pero sa final week ng SEM nyo palang sinubmit, ganun yung magiging ating policy. Then lastly, actually dalawa ko pala, second to the last, other course policies. Ang ating synchronous sessions are not required but will be recorded and made accessible to everyone. So, and then next is that discussion is allowed sa course, but you should never show each other their actual code or actual na answers. Kasi pag nakita mo na yung actual code ng kaibigan mo, mahirap na siyang i-code ng sarili mong style. Kumbaga. So parang mahirap nang iwasan na maging magkaiba. So, actually aking suggestion is you use as general statements as possible. Or kung kaya nga, magbigay tayo ng pseudocode o kaya ng flowchart. So, for example, yung sagot mo sa week 1, sa Pig Latin, for example, if kaya ko siyang gawing flowchart, kung gusto ko siyang i-discuss with my friends or other students, gagawin ko muna siyang flowchart before ko pakita sa kanila. Para kasi kung from a flowchart, mas madali or mas mahirap for other students to come up with the exact same interpretation ng flowchart. So, mag-iiba ng konti yung code nyo with that regards. So, ayun, yun lang naman ang aking suggestion. And set up nga rin yung ating Discord server for your discussion din. And in that way, pwede tayong maging sure na wala tayong nalalabag na anything or hindi tayo magkaka-issue since mababantayan namin yung pinag-uusapan. So, ayun. And then, this last point sa slide, intellectual dishonesty applies to code snippets grab both online and offline. So, alam naman namin, hindi may iwasan yung pag-search online ng solutions for the exercises. But if you do so, try to modify yung nakikita nyo as much as possible. Kami naman, as much as possible, we try to modify our exercises to be sort of specific na mahirap makahanap ng 1:1 copy ng problem online. Actually, if nakahanap kayo ng 1:1 copy ng problem online, you should let us know kasi nagkaroon na ng case before regarding that. But anyway, ayan, try to modify them as much as you can. And then kahit na sobrang layo na ng sagot nyo dun sa source material, you cite them as a reference dun sa inyong comments. So enough naman na yung maglagay lang ng URL. So hindi naman kailangan ng APA or IEEE na citation. So basta mabanggit nyo yung URL, that will be enough. So next naman, yung course policies na medyo specific sa akin. So yung ating synchronous sessions will be held as needed. Na based dun sa pag-view ko ng syllabus or schedule natin, it will be almost every other week. So week 1, so may introduction tayo. And week 2, pwede rin tayo magkaroon ng synchronous session because this is relatively a new topic. And then for weeks 3 and 4, baka isang synchronous session lang dito. Maybe at the start of week 4, may review ng week 3 and preview ng week 4. And then same sa week 6. Review ng week 5 and preview ng week 6. Then dito rin sa dulo. So most probably ganun yung magiging schedule natin for synchronous sessions. But of course, chine-check naman namin yung progress nyo if mukhang medyo mabagal or needs additional help, magsa-schedule tayo ng more synchronous sessions as needed. Then next, consultations. Well, actually ako kino-consider ko if kung may nagtanong online, sir, ba't hindi gumagana yung code ko? So kahit email lang yun, I consider it as a form of consultation. And it can be made anytime as long as I am available. So send lang kayo ng email or DM explaining your problem. Then based on my experience doon sa mga previous na hinandle ko, usually mag-chat lang or mag-message lang yung student, sir, hindi ko mapasa yung last test case. Ano kaya yung problem sa code ko? So ganun yung usual na nakukuha kong messages. And then, ayun, usually titingnan ko lang yung code, I find out what's wrong, and magre-reply lang ako through the email. And usually nakukuha na with that lang. If yun meron tayong mas malaking problems, maybe siguro pagdating sa problem set and sa software project, baka mas kailangan ng discussion rather than Q&A lang. So doon tayo pwede mag-schedule ng live video consultations. And pwede nyo akong tanungin, pwede nyo rin tanungin yung ating SA na si Brian. andyan siya sa participants. With regards to that, lalo na pag nakakatakot ba? Pag takot kayo sa akin, pwede niyo akong sumbong kay Brian. Ayan. And then, additionally, ako yung type of person na pag na-message mo ako during the time na nag-check ako ng emails, makakapag-reply ako agad. But during the time na hindi ako active or meron ako ibang ginagawa, usually nagtatagal bago ako makareply ulit. So, for example, if mag-reply kayo mag-message kayo sa akin ng Friday ng gabi, baka usually Monday ng umaga ko pa kayo marireplyan. So, ayun, yung generally, I'm generally unresponsive tuwing weekends, holidays, and early mornings. Although yun, since may schedule tayo for the class, for this section, it's 4 o'clock to 6:30. I'll make sure naman, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., I will be regularly checking my emails for your messages and requests for consultation. So, ayun. At this point, meron ba tayong mga questions? Okay. Naririnig naman ako, di ba? Baka kanina pa pala ako nagsasalita. Okay. So, wala lang talagang tanong. So, usually naman, yeah, okay. So, may nagtanong, pwede po ba sa Discord mag-DF, mag-direct message? If gusto magpa-consult, yes. Nakikita nyo naman siguro yung account ko sa Discord. Erlan Benitez, may special instructor. So, can always send me a message there. Although, well, depends. Kung, for example, for more formal concerns like extensions, usually mas prefer ko sa email kasi mas madali sa aking mas madali sa aking balikan yung mga emails when it comes to deadline extensions. Pero if for questions regarding yung code nyo or meron kayong gustong i-clarify with the activities, actually mas okay sa Discord kasi mas madali silang daling replyan basically. Kasi pwede kong gawin sa phone. Ayun. So, ayun, other questions, alam ko magpa-pop up yan during the course. Hindi nyo pa naisip ngayon kasi hindi pa siya exactly nandyan. So, I understand that. So, ayun, we still have time. So, let me just go over yung activity siguro for week 1 para lang meron tayong konting introduction sa course. I mean, parang may konting tulong sa pag-start. So, I guess some of you already made submissions already. So, you are free naman to leave the session. Pero yun, mag-proceed lang ako with the study guide for week 1. So, ayan. So, for week 1, it is just a review ng ating programming language, which is Python. And may special highlight then on the use of classes and objects. So, ayun, ang main resource natin dito is yung Colab na notebook. Hopefully, na-access nyo na by now kasi nagkaroon ng konting problems sa pag-access ng Colab earlier this week. So, dapat nyo makikita nyo, yun, course introduction, 2s2122, week 1, introduction, review of Python and OOP. So it just starts with some intro doon sa ating data structures and algorithms. So yung algorithm is yung ating way of solving a problem, and yung data structure is yung nasabi ko na rin kanina, how we structure our data. Paano natin sila ina-arrange? Isang block lang ba siya ng data, sama-sama lahat? Or do we organize it into different levels, or do we make special collections? So why are these useful? So in one example is yung ginagawa kanina, is yung tinatawag natin binary search, wherein we check the middle instead of checking all the uh, all the entries kumbaga. So for example, nasa library ka and may hinahanap ka na specific book which starts with the letter K, for example. So if alam mo yung data mo, naka-arrange siya alphabetically, I can check yung middle book dun sa isang shelf. Okay, so yung middle book sa shelf ko starts with the letter M. So I know yung letter K appears before that. So yung other half ng books, hindi ko na kailangan check. So if yung data natin gulo-gulo, hindi arrange yung data, kailangan natin check isa-isa kasi walang logical way for us to uh, check everything in an efficient way. So useful yun. So it goes, so parang nag-go hand in hand yung algorithm at saka yung data structure. So some algorithms require a certain data structure to work properly. And then, ayun, minsan there are some algorithms and doon tayo nagbe-base kung paano natin isa-structure yung data natin. So I guess more examples will come further on dun sa course. So next dito sa ating material is yung pag-run ng Python. Pero I'm assuming most naman will program through HackerRank, which is na-close ko yata. Ayun, na-close ko na. Dito naman na siya nag-run. Nirun natin yung code natin over here. And then, not sure lang if aware yung everyone, pero pag naglagay ka ng print statement dito, kahit hindi siya part ng hinahanap na sagot, lilitaw pa rin siya na may hello world dun sa output. So, usually pag nagde-debug ka, this will be useful. So kahit hindi siya requirement dun sa sample output, pwede kang maglagay ng random output anywhere dun sa code natin dito sa HackerRank. And ayun, not sure lang if gagana tong help and documentation dito. Haven't tried it yet. Pero usually yung help naman, pwede nyo i-search na lang dito sa website ng Python. Then we have yung ating basic math operations. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And ito is special case ng division, which is integer division. So yung result niya is always an integer. So pag gawin ko tong 5 divided by 2, that is 2.5. Dinadrop niya yung fractional part. So maybe 2 lang yun. So, then double star is exponentiation. So this is 2 to the 5th power. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So yeah, very dapat alam nyo pa naman siguro. Hopefully alam nyo. Kung hindi nyo pa alam, tanggap ko pa rin naman kayo. Pero sabihin nyo para magawa natin ang paraan. And then next we have functions. So these are a way for us to compartmentalize our code. So if meron tayong specific sequence of instructions na lagi natin ginagamit, usually, ginugroup natin sila to a function para mas madaling gamitin ulit. Tapos yun. Ang functions usually takes in multiple inputs and then has a single output. Or in this case, sa Python pala, kaya multiple output. Lagyan mo lang ng comma. So yun. Input, output function. Then next is data structures in yung built-in na data structure sa Python. We have yung sequences natin, which are yung list, tuple, or string. So yung list is a group of objects, listahan ng objects. So mutable siya because pwede nating i-modify yung element sa loob. So yung tuple, similar lang siya sa list, pero you cannot modify or mutate yung elements dun sa loob ng tuple. So usually mag-store ka sa tuple pag ayaw mong magbago yung laman niya. Mag-store ka sa list pag expected na magbago yung laman niya. Then a string is a special case for characters na list na pinagdudugtong-dugtong niya yung multiple na characters. And immutable din siya. So para siyang tuple. So usually pag minomodify natin yung string, nagkakaroon ng reassignment basically. So for example, pag niran natin ito, wala naman dito, di ba? So we can have here, pwede natin i-print yung first element sa shoe string. So pwede natin siya i-print, pero hindi natin siya pwedeng i-modify. So magkaka-error ka dito. So if gusto mong i-modify yung first element dun sa string, actually shoe string equals ganyan, a plus yung rest ng ating string. So basically, kailangan mong palitan yung buong string para ma-modify yung isang element ng string. Then, ayun, ito yung indexing and then yung slicing. Hopefully familiar na. And then other containers, we have what we call a set. So para siyang list, pero yung ating elements, hindi sila pwedeng umulit. So for example, ito, gumawa tayo ng list of countries. So si list square, brackets, si tuple, parentheses, si set ay curly brackets. So pag may umulit, for example, si Japan umulit dito. Pero pag nilist down natin lahat ng countries, Japan only appears once. So parang meron siyang special functionality na ganun. And then we also have yung tinatawag natin dictionary, which is similar to a list. Pero di ba dito sa list, pag nag-index tayo, nilalagay natin sa loob dito integer, 0 to n, hanggang dun sa big final length ng ating list. Pero what if gusto ko letters yung gamitin ko na index? So pwede mo yun gawin through the dictionary. So ayun, yung mga elements are indexed, kumbaga, through their key na nandito sa left and yung value na nandito sa right, yun yung nakastore doon sa index na yun. So similarly, parang sa list, di ba? Lalagay mo yung pangalan ng list tapos yung index sa loob. So imbis na 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nilalagay mo dito yung mga key. So, ayan. Courses, school, year, name. And actually, wala naman ding limit doon sa key. So, yung key natin dito, pwede nating gawing tuple. And gagana pa rin siya. Dapat. So, if gusto natin i-access yung element na yun, lalagay natin yung tuple. So, and next is, so ito yung concerning more on our variables and our data. Now, these are for your control statements wherein what if meron tayong mga gustong ulit-ulitin or meron tayong gustong i-branch. Actually, wala pa lang if else. And so, ang while loop, while true yung statement, uulitin niya yung nasa loob. Si for loop, uulitin niya yung nasa loob niya for all elements doon sa nailagay mo or specify mo doon sa for loop. So si range 11 to 20 incremented by 2. So lahat ng elements ng list na to is mapiprint. So, pwede mo rin multiply ng 2. Multiply ng 2. Then, another useful use ng ating for loop is pwede natin silang ilagay diretso sa definition natin ng lists for what we call list comprehensions. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, si odd, ang alam niya is all num, wherein num is from 11 to 20, skipping, or incremented by 2. So, pwede din natin itong i-modify. Kung gusto natin odd number sila. So, for example, gusto ko siyang gawing even, pwede kong num times 2. So, yung masastore sa kanya is times 2 ng mga laman ng ating input dito. Then, yung for loop, pwede rin natin siyang gamitin with another list. So, instead na range over here sa baba, pwede natin for num in odds. Then, para maging odd number sila, num plus 1. So, magiging plus 1 sila no lahat ng elements din sa naunang list. Then, pwede rin natin siyang lagyan ng conditional dito sa dulo kung gusto natin i-shift. So, for example, ito, pag tinanggal natin itong part na to, yung if statement na to, ang nilitaw dito is lahat ng 11 to 20. Pero pag binalik mo, yung if num modulo 2 is 1 or odd number, tsaka lang siya madadagdag dun sa. So, and something very useful. Actually, personally, sa thesis ko, madalas ko siyang gamitin. Then, moving on, another major part nitong material is on classes and objects. So, a class is basically a parang template, kumbaga, or if i-relate natin siya sa English, yung class yung tinatawag natin mga common nouns, and then objects yung mga specific or proper nouns ba yung tawag? So, common yung classes, tapos specific basically si objects. So, for example, ang class natin is a city. Ang specific objects natin dito is Manila or QC or Quezon City. So, pareho silang of the class city. And then si city, so bakit may special focus tayo sa classes and objects? This is what allows us to create our own data structures. So in this way, si city is actually a data structure. Pwede mo na siya i-consider as a data structure. And yung data niya is nakalump ang name, population, area, and density to one object. So ang kada object natin, organized sila. Yung mga objects natin will have a name, will have a population, will have an area, and will have a density. So ganun pa lang, pwede na natin masabi na isa siyang data structure. Since ang kada piece of data natin, organized na sila, sama-sama yung mga related na information. And then sa OOP din or sa classes natin, pwede rin tayong magbigay ng mga ating tinatawag na methods. So for example, dito, expand yung area. For example, si Manila, nasakop na si Quezon City. So mag-i-expand siya ng area. Magdadagdag siya ng area ni Quezon City. Pwede rin natin kunin si QC.area. So, dadagdag yung area niya dito sa baba para malaki siya. So, ayun. Of course, baka hindi naman mangyari in real life. Ganun tayo dito sa classes natin. And then, ayun, next part dito is what we call inheritance. So, what if yung common noun natin, meron siyang specific na example, pero medyo common pa rin. For example, dito, we have a person, and a person can be a student, pero hindi pa siya specific na object. So, parang special case siya for the class. So, ito yung pwede natin gawin. So parang tinatawag natin inheritance. So pag define natin yung class na student, ilalagay natin in parenthesis yung parent na class, which is yung person. So si student, makukuha niya lahat ng methods ni person, and pwede pa siya magdagdag ng sarili ng methods or mag-overwrite ng existing na method. So in this case, student, kahit wala siyang initializer or yung constructor, ginagamit niya yung constructor ni person kasi child siya, na-inherit niya. So, namana niya na kay person, hindi niya na kailangan i-define pa. Although, yung ginawa niya, si introduce, binago niya, dinagdagan niya ng I am a student sa dulo. Then we also have what we call special methods, wherein meron dalawang underscore sa simula and they correspond to special operations sa ating Python syntax. So for example, itong underscore str, ito yung function na tatawagin whenever we typecast the object as a string. And then itong add is yung pag nagawa tayo ng addition, ito yung multiply, ito greater than. So for example, meron tayong class dito na complex. Meron tayong real part and imaginary part. So pag pinrint natin siya, nagdadagdag tayo ng I dun sa imaginary part. So dito sa print, nagkakaroon ng plus. So si x ay 1 plus 2i. So tapos y ay 3 minus 2i. So actually, pwede mo pa itong ayusin para hindi siya magkaroon ng plus parati dyan. Pwede mo ilagay plus if so greater than 0, else so pwede natin tanggalin yung plus sign pagka yung imaginary part is greater than pag greater than 0 may plus sign, pag wala kasi negative numbers. And then another thing to note here, itong expression na to, equivalent siya to x dot x odd y, or just equal din sa underscore add x comma y. So, yun yung naka-call yung function na to. Kaso pag iniba ko to, if for example, gumawa ako ng ibang object dyan na hindi complex, mag-i-error yung ating program kasi hindi naman, wala namang defined C integer para dyan sa function na yan. Pero pag binaligtad ko siya, si y yung gawin kong 1, kaya niya pa rin mag-run, I think. Kasi naka-default naman na yung dot real at saka yung dot imaginary na hindi defined pa rin ata for integers. Apparently. Pero something to note din. Then, ayun, yung last part nito is just another example with OOP or with a class. So, I'll just leave that to you guys. Okay. So, for week 1, we have a total of 3 assessments na actually, ang scoring niya is makita niyo dito sa hacker rank pag kayo sa contest. 40 points kay exercise A, 40 kay B, 20 points kay C. So, makukuha nyo na yung 50% natin pag ginawa nyo yung week 1A at saka week 1. So, after nun, If kailangan nyo, gusto nyo ma-perfect, gagawin nyo si week 1C. Pero after nung 1A and 1B, pwede na kayong mag-chill. So yung first challenge is yung Pig Latin. I think medyo okay naman ako yung sa explanation na dito. So if starts with a consonant and a vowel, for example, pig, yung consonant mag-move doon sa end ng ating string. So si P, mag-move siya dun sa dulo, tapos mag-a-add ng AY. Pag naman dito sa second condition, if meron tayong two consonants, for example, si speak, yung SP, pupunta siya sa dulo. So yung EAK, siya yung simula. And then mag-a-add din ng AY sa dulo. Then if it starts with A yung vowel, magdadagdag tayo ng way sa dulo ng string. So for example, dito si is, nagsa-start siya sa vowel, magiging is way. So Pig Latin is hard to speak, magiging igpay, atinlay, is way, ardhay, otay, ixpay. So, hindi nyo naman kailangan basahin. Basta mapanari siya. I hope that was clear. Then another input lang din. So yun, mostly string manipulation lang. I trust na kaya nyo na. Pero pag di nyo kaya, okay lang din. But you have to let me know. Huwag naman sana na yung pagdating sa deadline, sir, di ko pala kaya. Tapos doon lang natin siya pag-uusapan. So, if nahirapan kayo ngayon pa lang, sabihin nyo na para magawa natin ng paraan. So yung next exercise is about line structures. So basically, kailangan nyo lang kompletuhin yung template na given over here. So yung template natin has two classes, a point and a line. And then meron tayong mga equations dito na basically kailangan nyo lang i-translate into code. And ayun. I don't think I have much else to say about that. Then next, itong card simulator. Magsisimulate lang kayo ng deck of cards. So yun naman nung ating deck. Excuse me. Yan ito yung tsura niya. 1 of clubs, 2 of clubs. So kailangan nyo lang din kompletuhin yung template. Then I think merong extra dito. Alam ko ito hindi siya kailangan. So medyo typo lang yun. And pag na-implement, if there are any problems doon sa ano. Kasi I'm pretty sure now medyo wala pang problems. Pero pag ginagawa niyo na doon, dilitaw yung mga questions. So, ayan. That's it. 1 hour. Nagkasya naman sa 1 hour. So, ayan. Before we end, are there any more questions? So, ayan. Since walang nagtatanong, end ko na yung ating class. Thank you very much for attending. And ayun, for any additional questions, there are emails, Discord DMs. And ayun, na-point out din pala ni Brian, medyo hindi pa lahat nasa Discord. So if you have any friends na sa sections natin, let them know na mag-join na sa Discord kasi mas active ako dito. So yun, anyway, thank you ulit and I hope to see you again next week, probably. Okay, meron daw hindi gumagana na rules doon sa Discord. Sige, ayusin natin yun later. Okay, thank you very much and have a nice day. Ingat kayo.